In honor of your position and reputation, I will accept one of your not quite Vulcans.
When Sarek was forced to choose between Spock and Michael for admittance into the Vulcan Expeditionary Group, 50 years of father-son tension and dysfunction was suddenly explained and contextualized. And although this artfully shot, beautifully performed, and dazzling turn in canon places Lethe in the top echelon of Star Trek episodes, it is not a masterpiece. And here's why. For over half a century, Star Trek has been telling human stories through strange new worlds and new civilizations. But none of the science fiction elements would matter without the most essential element of a story, the relatable human truth being explored.
It's not you I hate, Cardassian. I hate what I became because of you.
While not every episode of Star Trek could be considered even good television, there are many examples of masterful craft in front of and behind the camera. These masterpieces of storytelling that have endured the test of time are the focus of this series, Treks for All Time. But to get back to why I don't consider Lethe a masterpiece, even though it radically informs character while balancing sci-fi ideas, emotion, and high production values, it is not, however, completely accessible. Let me explain. As I began this project, Treks for All Time, I wanted to deepen my own appreciation for what makes Star Trek great. So I scribbled lots of notes about what criteria might be considered when evaluating a Trek masterpiece. I even went to Twitter, asking people what they thought. I thought about my gut reaction to episodes like The Drumhead or Far Beyond the Stars and tried to draw conclusions on what might define them as masterpieces. I finally came to 4 criteria that I felt fairly comfortable using to determine whether an episode of Trek was an enduring masterpiece. And those criteria are production, cognition, emotion, and accessibility. So let's get a better understanding of these criteria by applying them to Lethe. The direction and shot composition is varied, often at canted angles, adding to the disorientation felt by the characters. Every choice by the production strategically contributes to the storytelling in meaningful ways. And that storytelling is built on a thoughtful premise, appealing to the audience's cognition. The thematic exploration of regret driving one's final thoughts is poignant and revelatory for both Sarek and Michael, which moves the audience emotionally, which is my 3rd criteria.
Why is he thinking of your failure? I've been close to death, right up next to it. You don't think about who's failed you. You think about who you love, what you wish you'd done differently.
What don't you want me to see? Is it really worth dying over? You had faith in me once. I'm asking you to have faith in me again.
I never lost faith in you. Failure in this day is mine and mine alone.
The Expeditionary Group has examined Graduate Burnham's application with great interest.
Acceptance with honors is her due. I have created in her a being of exquisite logic.
An accomplishment you have achieved not once but twice. You award Michael and your son Spock. Upon completion, he will apply to the Vulcan Expeditionary Group, and then there will be not one, but 2 non-Vulcans in its ranks.
Spock is...
Half Vulcan. In honor of your position and reputation, I will accept one of your not quite Vulcans.
Do you ask me to make an impossible choice?
You chose Spock over me.
Spock, and joined Starfleet over the Vulcan Expeditionary Group. The choice I made merited nothing.
The true core appeal of this episode for Star Trek fans is how it recontextualizes Spock's rejection of his place in Vulcan society.
Your final record is flawless. You're hereby accepted to the Vulcan Science Academy. It is truly remarkable, Spock, that you have achieved so much, despite your disadvantage.
If you would clarify, Minister. To what disadvantage are you referring?
Your human mother.
Council. Ministers, I must decline.
No Vulcan has ever declined admission to this academy.
Then as I am half human, your record remains untarnished.
Why did you come before this council today? Was it to satisfy your emotional need to rebel?
The only emotion I wish to convey is gratitude. Thank you, Ministers, for your consideration. Live long and prosper.
Sarek chose a place for Spock instead of Michael, which turned out to be a fruitless choice. This explains why Sarek harbors such cold animosity for Spock in TOS. So the emotional logic of these characters within the larger narrative threads of Star Trek move the episode to a whole new level. And I gotta be honest, my mind exploded the first time I saw this episode when this revelation was made clear. Okay, so the production is fantastic. The cognition of the episode is on point, and it also activates the emotion of the audience. But is Lethe accessible? No. The recontextualization has little meaning to someone unfamiliar with the long history of the Sarek-Spock dynamic as established in Journey to Babel and explored in Star Trek 09 and in Unification. Accessibility might be my most important criteria for a masterpiece in any genre or medium endures. It has to endure. It has to be continually recognized as a masterpiece to be defined as such. This criteria also limits me from just calling out my favorite episodes as masterpieces. Not all of them will be as accessible. So because the full impact of the human story cannot be accessed by the uninitiated, I cannot label Lethe a Trek for all time. So that's it. This begins my exploration of Star Trek's masterful, timeless episodes according to my own personal evaluation. And really, the criteria labeling episodes a masterpiece, none of this is definitive, but just another way to think about and celebrate this franchise and its many Treks for all time.